Hello, my name is Joanna. You can order my books at amazon.com/author/Joanna. You can listen to my songs at broadjam.com/Joanna Ministries. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Joanna Ministry. And you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The title of this video is Book of Revelation and A City Built on 7 Hills. Now, the fall of Babylon has been a big controversy in the book of Revelation. What it is, if it's a city, if it's the Vatican. And one of the reasons they have thought that it was the Vatican was that apparently Rome is built on 7 hills. And in chapter 17 and 18 of the book of Revelation, it discusses Babylon in all kinds of weird ways. That it's a woman and it's going to burn, and just all kinds of weird stuff that, again, can be interpreted tons of different ways, which is one of the things I started to question. I felt like if God was trying to tell us something, that at least people would tend to agree on what it meant, and there is no agreement. Now, Revelation 17:9 says, "This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills, and also 7 kings. Rome began its settlement on 7 hills. But the note below in my study Bible says the 7 hills could be symbolic of the power of Rome. I also think it's a little weird that the verse talks about this calls for a mind with wisdom. Remember the emperor's new clothes, or the story where the emperor was supposed to be getting a new suit of clothes and there was no clothes, and it was a little boy who was the only one who would say that the emperor was going through town with no clothes on. Everybody else just said, if you're wise, they told everybody that if you're wise, you could see them. And that's how this verse starts. This calls for a mind with wisdom. So I feel like it's telling us that if you're a wise person, you can comprehend this. But it seems to me a good way to set up a con. Now, I've been telling you about the Aquarian Gospels. I'm going to try to read through this fairly quickly. It is, I didn't put down what chapter it's in. I'll put that in the links below. But it says that the universal church will stand on the sure foundation of 7 postulates. And that's what it calls the 7 hills. The first postulate is God is thought, and thought is God. The second postulate is that 2 parts of God are force and intelligence, and that gives birth to love, which is corresponding to the Father, Mother, Child Trinity. Notice how the mother seems to be associated with intelligence, of course. But anyway, so the third postulate is triune God breathed forth 7 spirits. Man was a thought of God and was created in the image of these 7 spirits that were breathed forth by the triune God. And there's a lot of talk about there's 7 spirits that created man, not God. But this is how it explains it in these postulates. Number 4, man came to earth as a seed to grow in darkness. Apparently, man wanted to come to earth so they could grow the way they wanted to. They were given free will and a mind of their own, and they did have some creative abilities, so they kind of created their own bodies how they wanted them to be, and went to earth as a seed, and the seed is that carnal nature. So they had to kind of leave their birthright. They left the light of God and came and hid themselves in the darkness so they could do what they wanted. And that's where they grew to be eventually more like God. As they grew in the soil of the darkness, they grew into the light, or they will grow into the light, or we're growing into the light at this time in this new age. Now the 5th postulate is man is drawn to the light by will, faith, helpfulness, and love. So you can will to do God's will. You can have faith that he'll help you. But if you're not helping others and loving others, you're not going to become perfected in God. The 6th postulate is universal love is Christ. Christ lives in the heart. Well, how does Christ live in your heart? Well, apparently he really doesn't like this carnal nature. The 3rd person of the Trinity, the Christ, doesn't really want to spend a lot of time in your heart if you're doing bad things. So when the carnal things of your life are put aside, the fleshly things, then he's going to enter in. The 7th postulate, when Christ enters in, man is perfected and becomes as God. Jesus was a perfect man. So he became the incarnate Christ. Now that was a lot to kind of throw in there, but I'll discuss the 7 hills, but this is the 7 hills in the Aquarian Gospels of Jesus the Christ. And it makes more sense than these 7 hypothetical hills in the book of Revelation. We're founded on the rock, and the rock is Jesus. So the hills, to me, it makes more sense that the hills would be postulates of how to walk with God and who God is. So we'll talk more about these things later. Just some more stuff to think about. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye for now.